Hello everyone, it's Justice, and welcome back to my channel. We are going to be talking about what I have done in 2019 and what I intend to do for 2020. I have 3 stacks here. This first stack on the left is going to be what I have done in 2019. So as you can see here, I have completed a few notebooks and inserts. Not as much as I was really hoping, but we'll get into that. This middle section are things that I've worked on in 2019 and what will continue forward. And lastly, we have this stack on the right. These are books that I intend to use in 2020 and onward that have not been started yet. So let's kind of just jump right into it. The first notebook that we're going to be talking about is my Leuchtturm 1917 in this purple color. I used it as a notebook for my work at the time, so I'm not going to be opening it at all because I don't want to be releasing any information that I'm not supposed to be giving out to the world, but it served its purpose, it did everything that I needed it to do, and it actually started in 2018 and was finished in 2019. So yeah, Leuchtturm handy dandy notebook did its job. Now we move on to all of these inserts. It's not as many inserts as I was hoping I would have for the year, but you have to kind of take into account that as your life changes, so do your journaling needs. And that's kind of what I fought with a lot this year. A lot of my thoughts were, I should really be documenting this, but also my needs have changed. Because not necessarily as you grow older, but as your needs change, as you go into a different lifestyle or a different phase of life rather, you need different things. And I just needed less journals. I needed to write when I needed to write and not really focus on the rest of it past that point. And that's completely okay. I didn't need to document every tiny little thing I did and put in all of the ephemera from throughout my day. I just needed to write when I wanted to write and have it serve a purpose for me. And that's kind of what this year has brought about. You can see that this first journal here had about 5 months in it, whereas this next one has 2. And that's because at the beginning of the year I was really stressed from moving and just kind of figuring myself out, and in this next insert I was just like, you know what, we're gonna go back to bullet journaling. And so I kind of really enjoyed that, honestly, and then I fell off again and had 6 months in one insert. So you can't win them all, you really can't. I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish and what I did do. I wish I had done more, but at the same time, you can't really force yourself. And one thing to also note, I don't really know how to say it. One thing to note is that you shouldn't really be focusing on the quantity of things. And that could be like the whole minimalist mindset thing that's creeping into me that I really want to do. But over the years, I can have my giant packing thing full of notebooks. But my kids won't want to go through hundreds of notebooks. They're going to kind of see it, be inundated, be overwhelmed, and not really want to read through them. And so I'm writing all of these for myself, but I'm also writing these for documentation's sake. And so that's something to keep in mind. You shouldn't have to write about the piece of dirt that got tracked into your house and made you mad if it doesn't really matter. But I'm going through these notebooks here. I have my Traveler's Company planning system. The orange one is the monthly planning. The 2 blue are essentially the avec weeks. Like if you think of Hobonichi, it's like the avec, it's split right in the middle. And so for the monthly version, I did a lot of pre-planning and some tracking with 3 stickers. And that worked really well for me. It kind of cut out the need for a Google Calendar, and I think I'm going to stick with it this year. Now, the issue I run into comes with each of the weekly planners. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. but they really didn't work that well for me. My issue with the weekly format is that it is way too constrictive. I used the left side for kind of like a to-do list and for appointments, and then the right side, I didn't really know what to do with it. So as I kind of flip through, you can see that for every week, it changes and it varies to the point to where I just gave up and started using it as a like some lines a day type of notebook. And I've learned that I really like that format. So that kind of goes into my decision for one of my 2020 books. Oh ho ho, hint hint. But yeah, I couldn't really get the hang of planning in this format, so towards the last few months, I just started doing some lines a day and instead incorporating my bullet journal in my traveler's notebook again. And so that worked really well for me. But I didn't want to be a quitter, so after starting out the second half of the year doing some lines a day, I ditched the bullet journal and went back to using it as a planner. And I do regret this. I regret this a little bit. It didn't work for me. It stifled a lot of my creativity. I didn't want to use it because it just was so unfun. And ultimately, for planners, you need to look at it. If you're not looking at it, it's not working for you. But I forced myself to use it. So I don't think that this planning structure really works for me. It looks super cute together whenever you have all of the notebooks right beside each other, so like super Instagram worthy, but it's not going to work for me. So that kind of shows everything I used for 2019. It's a pretty substantial stack, even though I do beat myself up about it. So there's definitely that. And then there's this guy. I did not include it in the 2019 stack by itself because realistically it should be going into 2020 with me, but I'm leaving it in the dust. This is a Walmart Exceed notebook and it's really good. The paper quality is amazing, the index is super spacious, and it's just such a great book. Like, it fits everything like a dream. To the point to where even my ink is fine. Like, I'm trying to flip and find it right now, but I piled ink in this notebook, and it did not bleed through. Of course, there's a little bit of ghosting, but it's a very heavyweight paper, so it's pretty minimal. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. But I can layer and layer and layer, and that is something that I cannot do in a lot of paper. I had a thumb smudge right there that's not bleed through, just wanted to point that out. But even with my Tomoe River paper, with fountain pen ink, I cannot layer it nearly to the extent that I can on this Exceed paper. So I do want to note that my reasoning behind leaving this notebook in 2019 is not the paper quality. Because I can even do like full swatches of pages and let the ink sit there, and it will not bleed through to the next page. And I don't know a single notebook that I have tried that does that. Like, I'm sure the Archer and Olive can probably do that, but this is amazing for a Walmart brand. Except the binding. The binding just kind of fell apart. I've only been using it for 4 months, and I'm rough on my books, but I'm not rough to the extent to where it should be falling apart this much. So there's a good chunk of papers that are unused, but I'm leaving it. So I'm going to thank it for everything that it's given me, be grateful to the experience that I've had, and archive it. So, woohoo. You've done me well, I appreciate you, but it's your time to die. And now we're moving on to what I'm using in the new year that I have already started. So this is my Traveler's Tokyo Station notebook from the Traveler's Company, and it houses my finance insert. So every month I go through and I document what I've spent, my income, my outgoing, as well as all of the bills, if I owe anyone anything, if anyone owes me anything, just keeping track of all of my money. And this notebook was actually a very generous gift to me from my friend Amy from college, and I will never ever ever forget you, Amy. It's one of my favorite gifts that I've ever gotten, and it does not leave the home. It also has this little coin keychain on it, as well as my little baby traveler's notebook, and yeah, it's my baby. It's my little financial baby. And from here, we move on to what I call my diary. This I have had going since, I believe, September of 2018, and it is not done yet. It is my favorite notebook that I have ever encountered. It is the Nanami Paper Crossfield Notebook. It is an A5 size, and it has Tomoe River paper inside. It has grid pages, and it's just beautiful. I think this is my third one that I've used so far. My first two that I filled, I kind of went the Hobonichi style, and I filled them and made them super duper fat, and I decided that this time it would be mainly just ink and paper, a few pictures, but I don't want it to get chubby. So that's kind of this one, and the reason why this one is going so slowly is because it is my diary, as in, these are just my embarrassing thoughts that I don't want anyone to read until after I'm like old and dead and my grandchildren are like, wow, grandma was really dramatic. That is this book. So, I have been working on it for a really long time. I'm hoping to finish it in 2020, though by looking at the status of where things are, it's not very likely. Like, I am just now getting to the halfway mark for this book, so realistically, if I use it the way that I have been using it, it'll probably take about 2 more years. But one thing I want to mention is that in 2019, I really fell off of the wagon of using this, so I do still have entries for each month, but they're like 1 entry per month, and that's a little bit upsetting. So we'll see what we're gonna do. And this next one is the official bullet journal. I got this along with my book from writer Carol, and using it as a sketchbook. I started off using it like the bullet journal, but I really don't like the traditional bullet journal. Take a shot every time I say bullet journal. And so I decided to turn it into a sketchbook instead. I don't draw that much, but we're trying to enforce the habit and get back into it, because my love for journaling originally started from sketchbooks. I would fill up sketchbook after sketchbook, and then it turned into art journals, and now here we are. Something I really am regretful about changing my major in college from art to Chinese is that I really had a disdain for art after that. But we're gonna work on that. So now we're moving on to my actual 2020 stack. So first off, I want to show this. Right below this little Stalogy A6 lies my Traveler's Company Traveler's Notebook, and in there I have my Galen Leather Crazy Horse leather wallet insert, and in there I have my 2020 monthly insert. It really worked for me last year, so I'm going to continue implementing it this year. It also just makes it far easier than having to draw out my calendar every single month. So I'm just going to keep this insert. It worked well. Why mess with a good thing? Now, this next one that you can see peeking through with all of my little Gigi and my little Sit Sprite stickers is a insert that will work as my new bullet journal, essentially. I really like this, and I'm kind of flipping through right now, but I really like changing my layouts based on what I need. So, starting out the month of January, I'm going to have my habit tracker. I have my January goals, which kind of goes into what I want to do. And so I have my 3 things, which are like not buying any meat, working out at least once a week, and cooking with sugar in mind, like watching my sugar, and just that kind of thing. If you can read it, you can read it. If you can't, I'm so sorry, but I'm blind and I can't read this in editing. I also have a section for how it worked for me in the month, as well as a section for what I can do to improve my results. So I'm thinking each month I'm going to kind of go through with my goals and assess where I am, because I cannot tell you a single one of my resolutions from 2019. I've completely forgotten about them. It's not even just that, oh, I can't remember what they were, so I didn't do them. It's like I completely don't know what they are, where I can find them. They're gone. They're lost in the ether. I deleted that file. It's gone. So this year, I'm going to try to go back to that every single month and check in on where I am. My goals are based around sustainability and health, and yeah. So next we have my mood tracker, and I wanted to do something more than just like happy, sad, excited. So each day I'm going to write down like happy, sad, excited. But in the larger column, I'm going to write why, or why I think this. So, for example, it'll be like on the 14th I was happy. And ooh, why was I happy? That's exciting. I need to be more happy. And it'll be like, had a date with Danny. And like, oh, obviously I'm going to be super happy. Duh. Or like, on the 12th, I was very upset. 3 times. And I'm like, why was I upset 3 times? What? And so it'll say like, fell in a puddle, got demoted at work, God forbid, lost my favorite shoe. And so those will make a whole lot more sense. Now on the right, I have broken down January into each week, and I'm going to track my calories, I'm going to track my income, I'm going to track what is going out of my bank account, as well as my net gain or net worth, I guess. So I want to kind of write down how my bank accounts look at the end of each week. That way I can really hold myself accountable, because I can go a little wild. Now I have my gratitude log. I'm just trying to force positivity on myself, so let's just put that in there. Now, I have the end of the month recap page, so I have my favorite YouTubers, music I listened to, noteworthy things, as well as an ongoing grocery list. And now we have our weekly. I hate this weekly. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's here. And you know why it turned out this way? It's because I didn't measure right. So I really wanted to kind of split it into 4 little blocks for each side of the paper, so that there was a total of 8 little blocks, but I mismeasured and ended up with 5 on each side and just filled it really stupidly, so you're not going to see that again. But what you will see is my daily page. That I have my things to do with the day, that it is, my food for the day, the weather, as well as some space for anything extra. And the beauty is that I can extend this however much I need to. If I just need half of a page, I can do half of a page. If I want to take a whole page spread, I'm going to do that. And that is ultimately why I love bullet journaling. That is the reason. Now we're going to move on to some accessories. I have the 2020 Travelers Company set with some stickers, some more stickers, my Shitachiki, as well as the new clear folder. This year the theme was really good, like, of course, Travelers Company theme, travel, oh, so good. And now we move on to the splurge item. I have always wanted to use a Hobonichi. Like, the A6 Hobonichi looks like such a dream, but after last year, I didn't want to be constrained and risk that, especially not for the price that they are. So instead, I got the 5-year journal, and I wanted the 5-year A6, but they were sold out by the time I went to go get them off of JetPens, so I got this one here, the A5. And I am so excited about it. It is beautiful, it is soft, it looks like a Bible, like everyone said, and it's just so silly. For the price of this thing, over 5 years, I can justify that. I can definitely justify that. Plus, I know that this paper will work with my fountain pens, which was the issue that I had with my last 5-year journal, because I really don't want to move into something where I have to use, like, a ballpoint pen. And then we have this little guy. It is an A6 Stalogy, and I'm hoping that whenever I finish my big old diary that I was telling you about earlier, this guy, once I finish this guy, I want to move into an A6, because my love for journaling and stuff really started around the A5 and pocket size range, and I'm feeling a little bit stale with A5, so I'm going back to pocket. So if I'm capable of filling up my diary this year, we're going back to the tiny little size that I can fit in my hand, mainly because I think that it'll be so much better for a stream of consciousness writing. I think that I'll be able to fill more pages in my head and be like, wow, Justice, we're making such great progress, oh my god, and trick myself into loving it more. And so that's my 2020 setup essentially. And yeah, I really appreciate you staying along with me on this. We're working together, we're growing together, and we're doing everything that we really want.